Members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, there are no scheduled fire alarm tests this evening. Should the fire alarm sound, please evacuate the building using the emergency exits located around the room. The fire assembly point is located at the far side of the main car park. Please can I ask that all mobile devices are switched off or placed on silent mode. Thank you. Members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, will you please be upstanding to receive the Worshipful the Mayor, Councillor David Howarth, and the Mayoress, Councillor Angela Turner.
Members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to South Ribble Borough Council's Mayor-making ceremony for 2023-24. And thank you all very much for attending, and I hope you all have an enjoyable evening. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Councillors Stringfellow, Coulton, Rainsbury, Rea and Buttery.
Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is declarations of interest. Can I assume that, given that this is a ceremonial occasion, we don't actually have any declarations? Which takes us to item 3, the nomination and election of the Mayor for 2023-24, Councillor Chris Lomax. Could I invite the Leader of the Council, Councillor Paul Foster, to propose, and can I ask you to come to the microphone, please?
Deputy Lord Lieutenant, members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen. Councillor Christopher Mark Lomax was born in Preston on the 29th of April 1960. His early schooling took place at St Pat's in Walton Le Dale, followed by Brownedge St Mary's. He left school with 2 CSEs, one in technical drawing and another in religious studies. He was actually told by his teacher to go walking on exam day rather than actually sitting his exams. Who would have then thought, years later, he would then be elected as the first citizen of South Ribble. Never give up, eh? Chris then commenced an apprenticeship in painting and decorating. However, this also never went exactly to plan, and so he started working at the local Scout Association. Whilst undertaking this role, he then also became a part-time youth worker, which very much defined his working life. On the 2nd of January 1990, Chris commenced working with and supporting young people at the Glendale Children's Home in Leyland for Lancashire County Council, and stayed in this role for 13 years. He then decided, having worked so closely with so many challenged children, that he would dedicate himself in keeping these young people out of care, with personal support and mentoring. And again, he stayed in this role, still with Lancashire County Council, for another 13 years. We all know Chris locally for his strong union ties and representation of the workforce, undertaking his first union rep role in 2005. It is this union work that has led Chris into politics and ultimately why he's here today. Chris is married to Kim, and they tied the knot in 1987. They first met on a caving trip some years prior. However, they didn't speak for months after Chris thought it was a good idea to push a load of mud in her face as a laugh. Not that Kim bore a grudge, but it did take him 7 requests for a first date and then further 5 requests to actually get married. However, Kim does challenge this slightly. They are happily married and have 3 great children, Rebecca, Heather and Thomas. Chris and Kim were the most wonderful ambassadors for the borough and our local communities. It is my privilege and honour to propose that Councillor Christopher Mark Lomax as the Mayor of South Ribble for the municipal year 2023-24. Thank you, Mayor.
Could I ask Councillor Claire Hunter to come to the microphone and second the nomination?
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the council, boys and girls. So I would very much like to congratulate Councillor Chris Lomax on his new role as Mayor, which I'm proud to second. Councillor Chris Lomax is a very supportive member of our group, always ready to offer help, advice and support to all new members and establishment councillors alike. And I still very much blame him for me being here. So he's hard-working councillor, not only for his work with his own residents of Wantleydale, who overwhelmingly voted him back in, but also chair of our local hub serving Bamber-Bridge, Wantleydale and Gloucester Cole. So I give my overwhelming support and congratulations to the new Mayor and Mayoress, and I'm positive they will represent South Ribble Council proudly. And also congratulations to you both, and many thanks to the outgoing Mayor and Mayoress.
For members of the council only, could I please ask you to vote in favour by a show of hands? All those in favour of the nomination. Thank you. I'm not about to count that, but I'm assuming that was unanimous then.
The retiring Mayor, Councillor David Howarth, will now present the change of office to the new incoming Mayor and Mayoress, Councillor Chris Lomax and Mrs Kim Lomax. The Mayor will now sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office. Thank you.
I, Councillor Chris Lomax, having been elected to the office of Mayor of South Ribble Borough Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you. I have been offered a fountain pen to sign this, which I have refused, and you'll hear why later.
Oh, hang on, stop.
Stop.
Got a better pen, apparently.
Got a better pen?
Committee clerk's better than chief.
Hey, what? Thank you. There's here the new mayor to address the council from the top table. I don't have to stand as I'm mayor. I can sit down. However, to address my peers on this time, I do wish to stand. Members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for coming tonight. How did this happen? Does my bum look big in this? That is a question. At school in the 60s and 70s, they had no idea of dyslexia or dyspraxia, and I certainly have those tendencies. At Brownridge St Mary's, I went in straight to class 5, set 5, GTTs, general twits and twerps, as it was known, by classmates and teachers. Leaving school, I had a reading age of about 10 with 2 CSEs, technical drawing and religious knowledge. So the world was my oyster and I was set for life. Between the ages of 17 and 24, I taught myself to hold a pen and write legibly. Believe me when I say this was extremely hard work. I've never been unemployed though. In my last month at school, Chopper Hacking, the woodwork teacher, took me to one side and said he'd checked my timetable and there was little on for me during the exams, and he encouraged me to go camping in the Trough of Bowland for a week. Once he'd talked me into it, he said, "Oh, can you take these 2 lads with you as well?" I think that was my first leadership encounter. A potted history of work. Apprentice painter and decorator, 6 months, outdoor pursuit shop in Preston for about 20 years, during which time I became a part-time youth worker. This helped me get a job with LCC, first in a children's home in Leyland, then the family support team trying to keep children off the at-risk register and working with those already on it. But how did I get here? My earliest instruction came from my mum. 4th time, seeing The Sound of Music, Morecambe bus station. Mum was speaking to someone with special needs, and I was frightened. I was hid behind my mum's legs as she talked to this person. When he'd gone, she said, "Christopher." Christopher means I'm in trouble, or there is some great knowledge to be imparted. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect. Prince or pauper, they all deserve your time and attention. While working in family support, I attended a union meeting and reported back to my colleagues, who then asked me to become a union rep. I said, no. The manager said, I would make a good rep. And I said, no. They all said, go on, go on, go on. Go on, go on, go on. They wore me down. Eventually, I became full-time rep. I was asked to join the Preston and South Ribble Trades Council. They asked me to become president. I said no. They wore me down. The English Defence League came to Preston. I was asked to mount a response. We came up with the One Preston, One Community response for Preston and South Ribble. And I worked very closely with the police, community groups and faith communities. My political group asked me to stand for council. I said no. When I got in, I was made hub chair for the local councillors of Bamber Bridge, Gloucester, Cole and Wantleydale, supporting the communities in the area. Then I was asked to be mayor, and I can assure you, I said no. Now I'm going to have to thank Kim, my beautiful mayoress, for her support through the years. And our three beautiful children, what's your names again? Oh, Rebecca, Heather, and Thomas, otherwise known as Tom. And I'm extremely proud of every one of them, even though they only see me as a taxi service. I can remember the first time I saw Kim, a South Ribble Outdoor Pursuits caving trip to Derbyshire, one called P8. At the bottom, yes, I did put a large hand of glutinous mud in her face, and she didn't speak to me for months. But the chase was on. I eventually wore her down. We were married 5th of September 1987, 36 years. You'd have been out quicker for murder. But I love you. Okay. Just a quick word about my charities. St. Catherine's Hospice, fantastic. Tender nursing care, absolutely a lovely little charity that helps throughout South Ribble. And Tippy Toes, a prenatal, postnatal charity who do such wonderful work. I'm proud to have them as my charities. Just over 4 years ago, I've been elected. And at 1:30 in the morning, I'd gone down to get a glass of water. Me, I burst into tears. I could feel my very heart exploding, thinking of the pride my mum and dad would have had. To know where you're going, they say you should know where you come from. Mum, Dad, father-in-law, Bob, him and I have done all right, haven't we? We've done all right. A horse walks into a pub and the barman says, "Why the long face?" I know, but there we go. It's just bringing me back. I would like to finish by saying to my peers and the great and the good of South Ribble, we are so proud to have been elected mayor and mayoress. And rest assured, Kim and I will serve the borough to the very, very best of our abilities. Thank you. Moving on, item 4, vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor, Councillor David Howarth. Councillor Harry Hancock to propose. Please, will you come to the microphone?
Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to say a few words of thanks to our retiring Mayor, Councillor David Howarth. I know it's been a difficult job for him fitting all his mayoral functions between his beloved Man U fixtures, but in spite of all this, he has shown great enthusiasm, interest, and occasional good humour in the many events he has attended. He has met a great number of people, both in and outside the borough, and I know he has thoroughly enjoyed his time as mayor. Both David and his mayoress, Angie, should be proud of the sterling work they have done in promoting this great borough of South Ribble. Thank you.
Councillor David Shaw to second. Please, will you come to the microphone?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think you'll do all right this year. I think we'll be very lucky to have you. How do you follow those two? Harry said what I need to say. The mayor has been superb, and I thank him for that. Don't know what it is about me that's making this screech, but I clearly cannot simply walk up here, switch the microphone on, and then say seconded. So I'm going to say to you that I asked David Howarth how he enjoyed his year as mayor. 2.5 years ago, I proposed him as deputy mayor, and I was one of the, I think, 4 members of the last council who did not vote for him as mayor. We were all absent. In my case, I was under armed guard on the Nile. But I meant to be here so that I could repeat what I'd said when he was deputy mayor. We already knew he could do the job. There was no issue about that. We didn't have to worry about his football team and all those things. Sorry, Harry, I know you love to wind him up with that. The one I was winding him up with, I think yesterday, was how did he manage to go through a year as a humanist with such functions as a tea with the bishop, or inviting the local priest, Father Jonathan Cotton, to the civic centre here. And I thought he'd just laugh it off. But the reality was, and it was something in what he said in response, was that he's had a chance to see all sorts of things in this year, met all sorts of people, some religious, some not, some with chains around their neck, some young people, beavers, some of the people that collect for charities, the Santa Dash, other functions like that. Part of the community, not just of our borough, but wider. I was trying to pin down just how wide it was, and then realised he'd gone off to Schleswig-Flensburg with others. So he's passed the message even further. No, the truth was that he found people that he would be able to communicate with, talk to, find out about through his time. Some of the people with chains politically he might not get on with, but as people, we get on and we have a care for the communities that we serve. David has done that. He's managed to hold the council well organised during the meetings, but he has enjoyed, I think, his year in serving us as people of South Ribble. And I thank him for that. And for Ange, who, when she's not organising him, has been whizzing around herself with other functions, as indeed has Chris. They've covered a lot of ground in a year. I second the motion to thank them for that.
We now move to the vote. All in favour by a show of hands. This is just for council members only. Please raise your hands now. Thank you. I think that was unanimously carried.
The retiring mayor will now respond. Thank you.
Thank you. If I'd actually paid more attention to the order of events, I wouldn't have put my speech on that chair over there, which has my name on it, assuming that that's where I was going to sit after I put the robes on Chris. So, Mr. Mayor, Lady Mayoress, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, could I firstly wish the new Mayor and Mayoress what I hope will be a thoroughly enjoyable, successful and eventful year in office, and likewise congratulate the new Deputy Mayor and Consort, which is thoroughly deserved given the length of service that you've given to the council. I'd also like to thank my proposer and seconder for those kind words, and all of the members and former members of council, along with community groups and local residents who've supported my events and fundraising activities throughout the year. We've already been able to present Lancashire Mind with a financial donation to enable them to obtain match funding, and both St Catherine's Hospice and the National Autistic Society will be beneficiaries in due course. My heartfelt thanks also go out to my support staff. Firstly, Louise Bamber, my mayoral secretary, who has been an absolute gem in arranging my events, ensuring that they ran smoothly, maintaining my diary, and helping to make our hectic life run a little more smoothly. So, Louise, could you come up to the front? Secondly, could I thank my mayor's attendant, Dave Poulter, for picking us up, ferrying us around, and getting me home again in one piece without stabbing me with the pins in the chain. Most of the time, I had no idea where I was going or where I was supposed to be, and in fairness, neither did he. Which, of course, is not true. But Chris, if you accept invitations to events in the Forest of Bowland, you might want to take a map. So, Dave, could you come up to the front? You know how much you'd like to. There's also been a team in the background providing support in Darren Cranshaw, Brendan Spear, and attendants from Chorley who have filled in when required, David, Michael and Les. So thank you to all of you. I'd also thank Chris and Kim for standing in for me at numerous events and for all the support that you've given us as our deputies. Such is the popularity of the mayoralty within the borough that multiple bookings are often received on the same day. I began by wishing Chris an eventful year, but it really would be a hard year to follow. I was installed 12 months ago, almost to the day, as the Platinum Jubilee Mayor, with one of our first events being the Royal Garden Party, followed by the Jubilee weekend itself, beginning with the Leyland Festival and then attending street parties and events to mark the occasion. We were pleased to be able to visit our twin town of Schleswig-Flensburg and rekindle our relationship and set out aims to develop our twinning going forward, not least of all amongst our young people. And Chris, I wish you well in taking that forward with the new Christ president. Our summer was spent attending the various fetes and galas that take place across the borough, as well as visiting open gardens, peace gardens and flower shows, which I'm sure if organisers had known that everything horticultural that I touch promptly dies, we wouldn't have been invited. We also attended plays and productions by talented thespians of all ages, and book launches of both literary and aesthetic content, as well as sports clubs throughout the borough, and of course our South Ribble Sports Awards. We have also visited some of our major industries and employers, along with our educational facilities, as we look towards innovation in a changing world. Sadly, we also lost Her Majesty the Queen, and never could I have imagined that I would be required to proclaim the accession of the King, joining other mayors along with the Sheriff and Lord Lieutenant on the balcony of the Harris, before returning here to the Civic Centre to make our proclamation. It's humbling to be a part of our nation's great history. On a lighter note, neither had I expected to be on a stage with members of S Club singing Reach for the Stars at the Leyland Lights switch on, but my talent knows no bounds. On the subject of music, we entered the room today to the Prince of Denmark's March, so it's probably now appropriate to quote Shakespeare's Hamlet. This, above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Throughout the year, I would like to think that I've been true to myself and my beliefs, chairing our meetings without fear or favour, and being as fair as possible in allowing everyone to speak. In promoting equality, diversity and inclusion as a theme of my mayoralty, we have supported our LGBTQ+ community, even making the national news. We recognise the sombre occasions of Remembrance Sunday and of International Holocaust Day, with services to include both those of faith and none, celebrated International Women's Day with a highly successful event here in the Civic Centre, attended White Ribbon events, fair trade, promoted National Autism Awareness and Mental Health Awareness Weeks, amongst many others. If I might refer to one final quote from Shakespeare, and that of Lady Macbeth, who states that our husband is too full of the milk of human kindness. Through our year of office, we've been overwhelmed by the sheer milk of human kindness shown within our borough, often by those without a great deal to themselves to help others in need. Food and clothes banks, raising funds for medical need, tackling social isolation, luncheon clubs, including and welcoming others into faith groups and community groups, volunteers who devote their time to others of all ages, and support and awareness groups on a range of social issues, all of which adds to the vast and rich tapestry which is the borough of South Ribble, and of which I've been proud to be its mayor, and grateful to have been given the opportunity. There is just one final and most important thank you, and that's to my wonderful partner and mayoress, who has supported me throughout and who I know has likewise enjoyed our year. Thank you.
Item 5, presentation of the commemorative badges to the retiring mayor and retiring mayoress.
The mayor will now present the retiring mayor and retiring mayoress with the commemorative badges. Thank you.
Item 6, nomination and election of the Deputy Mayor for 2023-24, Councillor Peter Molyneux. Councillor Karen Walton to propose. Can you please come to the microphone? Thank you.
Deputy Lord Lieutenant, Mr Mayor, Mayoress, members and officers of the Council, ladies, gentlemen and children. It is my honour and privilege to propose Councillor Peter Molyneux for Deputy Mayor-elect of South Ribble Borough Council for the municipal year 2023-24. Peter was born and bred in Bolton, but has lived in the Preston area for the past 40 years, 25 of which he has lived in the borough of South Ribble and worked at British Air Systems for 15 years. Peter has been a long-time supporter of Bolton Wanderers Football Club, but I'm pleased to say that he has seen the light now and also supports Preston North End. Peter likes all sorts of sport and in his youth played football for Bolton and represented Lancashire in the English cross-country championships. He later took up marathon running, achieving a best time of 3 hours and 5 minutes. Quite an achievement, a time to be very proud of Peter. Peter is a dedicated family man. He is a father of 3 and grandfather of 4 children and enjoys a large family support network. Peter has always been interested in politics and was elected to represent the residents of Samlesbury and Walton Ward in 2003 and will continue to do so for another 4 years after the recent election. During this time, he has worked hard to represent his residents, and he also has a great deal of knowledge and experience of the council, having served on a number of committees as chair and vice chair, as cabinet member, portfolio holder, deputy leader, and leader of this council. He is honoured to have been given the opportunity to be elected as Deputy Mayor of the Borough of South Ribble, and with Margaret as his consort, he will help and support the Mayor and Mayoress to represent the borough to the best of his abilities. May I take this opportunity to thank the outgoing Mayor and Mayoress, there you are, for all your hard work throughout the year. It is an honour to be Mayor and Mayoress. And I'd also like to wish the new Mayor and Mayoress every success in their mayoral year. You will enjoy every minute of it as being the first citizens of the borough. Well done. Thank you.
Councillor Margaret Smith to second. Please, can you come to the microphone?
Mr Mayor, Deputy Lord Lieutenant, fellow councillors, officers of the council, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is my pleasure this evening to second the nomination of Councillor Peter Molyneux to become your Deputy Mayor for the mayoral year 2023-24. As previously mentioned, Peter has been an elected member of the council for 20 years and has had the pleasure of serving with him over that time. Peter, for a number of years, was my deputy when I was leader of the council, before going on to become leader himself, and we worked very well together. As Peter commented to Karen and myself, this is not his night. There is another time and another place, but needless to say, he will perform his duties as Deputy Mayor, along with Margaret, his Mayoress, very diligently. In fact, Margaret and Peter have to a degree been there before, as Mayor and Consort of Preston some years ago. It leaves me only to congratulate the new Mayor and Mayoress and wish them all the very best for your coming year. And knowing that you will have a very able deputies in Peter and Margaret. I would formally like to second the motion that Councillor Peter Molyneux is voted into office of Deputy Mayor along with Margaret as his Mayoress. I so move. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
All in favour by a show of hands. Members of the council only, please raise your hands now. I'm going to take that as unanimous. Thank you very much.
The Mayor will now present the change of office to the Deputy Mayor and the Deputy Mayoress. The Deputy Mayor will now sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office. Thank you.
I, Councillor Peter Molyneux, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of South Ribble Borough Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it accordingly to the best of my judgment and ability.
The Deputy Mayor will now respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Can I say what a privilege it is to have been given the honour of becoming the Deputy Mayor of South Ribble for the municipal year 2023-24. And I would like to thank my fellow councillors, family and friends for giving me their support. This is indeed a great honour for me, and along with my Deputy Mayoress Margaret, know how important this position is, and we will both carry out the role to the best of our abilities. I could go on, but I'm sure you're all getting a bit hungry now, and rather than keep you, but I appreciate tonight is more the Mayor and Mayoress's occasion, and the time will come in another 12 months for myself. Therefore, I'll cut this short and end by saying, Mr. Mayor, as your deputy, you have my full support, and I'm sure that you and the Mayoress will have a wonderful mayoral year ahead of you. Thank you.
Members of the council, I am on. Members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, budgies and parrots. That now concludes the business for this evening. Can I thank you all for attending, and I do hope you enjoyed the ceremony as much as I have. Refreshments will now be served from the paddock room, and I do hope you can join myself and the Mayoress, and really, from the bottom of my mind, thank you.
Please be upstanding as the mayoral party retire.